What y'all listening to?
Limelight Highlight Podcast.
Welcome back to the show, your silver lining space to take a break from the stressful every day. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus and haven't been as consistent as I'd like to be, but we're back. And this episode is supposed to be super special. But before we get into it, just wanted to share with you some upcoming events. As always, our favorite nonprofit organization, The Block Gives Back, is having their monthly Feed the Block at the end of the month. It happens every last Tuesday, as I said before, of every month, placing this month's on the 25th. That'll be February 25th on Tuesday. So now that you know, and it's ahead of time, be sure to get involved, volunteer, find out how else you may be able to help. And they also have their 4 blocks in 4 weeks coming up soon. So be sure to get on their website, check them out at theblockgivesback.org, and see how you can get involved. My lovely wife had this great idea of doing a recap episode. So this episode of the podcast is going to be pretty special because this month marks 2 years since I started the podcast. She had an idea of doing a recap of the last 2 years and has agreed to join me on this discussion. So we're going to get into a bunch of things. I don't know what she has planned or scheduled or questions she might have, but I'm looking forward to have somebody else to riff off of the podcast with. So hope you enjoy, and welcome Arlene to the podcast once again. And we have my beautiful wife on the mic. Last time you were here on the podcast, I mean, I see you every day, but last time you were actually on the podcast was damn near a year ago, last March, because I remember it was Women's Empowerment Month, and we just talked about a lot of stuff. So,
yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So, you had a great idea about doing a little anniversary, 2-year anniversary for the podcast. And you wanted to ask me a few questions and get into a couple topics. So whenever you're ready, we can, or unless you want to just ease into it some other way, however you feel like.
No, we can start.
Okay.
So first, Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to start out with talking kind of about your goals. I thought that would be important to get into first, and then we can kind of bring it full circle. So I want to know your 3 short-term goals, and we'll stick specifically to this podcast.
3 short-term goals?
Mm-hmm.
Get more subscribers, 1. Get more followers for the pages, 2. And be more consistent with content, but better content. I want to start making videos. So my dad got me, I mean, you already know, but for the people at home, my dad got me this Yeti Blue microphone that came with like a 1080p webcam. And it's specifically to make videos. So eventually I want to start making quick little videos you can throw on Facebook. Because Facebook has a longer duration. So you can like make some pretty long Facebook. I mean, people upload like movies, like 2-hour movies. I'm not going to do no 2-hour shit. But Instagram is, I guess, one of the more popular social media platforms that people get the most followers from, or the most, they generate the most views and stuff, but they have a very short term. Like you can only do 30-second clips or a minute video. I guess you can do it longer if you have like the little TV thing, but that's, I guess, I would say my 3rd goal that I really want to get into. Some fun visual videos rather than just the audio stuff. And if I have more, I'll take back the what's the word I was looking for? I'm going to take back what did I say? I said more subscribers, more follow. I'll take back more subscribers and I'll add more guests.
Okay.
I know I was rambling.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Those are my 3.
Do you have 1 to 2 long-term goals? So long-term is anything that's going to take you 12 months or more.
Yeah. I'm going to start touring.
Oh, for the rap hustle on the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I'd like to I'd just like to be more involved in other nonprofit organizations by volunteering and videoing those specific events.
Documenting them.
Yeah, documenting them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of that type of organization and volunteering and things like that, I know that this year and a lot of last year you did a lot of trying to find different organizations. Any that stand out to you that when you were researching, like it's just stood with you and you think about still?
As far as me volunteering and doing
things that maybe you haven't been able to just yet.
I know while I was doing research for homelessness, I think I mentioned it in one of the previous podcasts. I don't remember what episode, but there was one, Beauty to the Streets. She's on Instagram, and she goes to, you ever heard of Skid Row in LA? So it's just, if you haven't heard of Skid Row, it's basically a long stretch of tent city for homeless people. And she goes there and she's gotten so many people to help donate that she has there's a biker crew that provides security. They have these little portable showers so that some of the homeless people can shower. She does their makeup and their hair. So she tries to give them a little more dignity and let them feel like they're normal again, normal people. Not that they aren't, but
yeah, and she actually keeps up with them. So yeah. If you listen to her on Instagram, she goes around and updates people. There's, I forget one of the main ones, but they were sick recently and the fans, or, I say fans on Instagram, were kind of asking, and they keep up, and it's kind of like they're living their life through that lens, but they have all these people supporting them and wanting them to do better. So I like how she does that. She kind of has her own flair on it. Yeah.
So I think if there was anything I could do, that's a lot of work. I know, a buddy of mine was asking if I ever wanted to start my own nonprofit, but nonprofits are very, from dealing with the Block Is Back, I know that they do a lot. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work, period. And I'm not opposed to work, but a lot of them sometimes they focus on just kind of a niche. And I kind of want my podcast to be more than just a niche. I want it to I'd rather have it be a platform so other people can find out about these other things versus starting up my own thing and just kind of being another number. Talking
about yourself.
Yeah, but yeah, listening, going back to Beauty to the Streets with that Skid Row stuff, it also opened my eyes to how, the majority of people who always talk about being homeless, or people who have this idea of homelessness, is people who fell on hard times and they don't want to work, or they have problems, or they chose drugs over their whatever the case is. But listening to her and seeing those people's stories, some of them have PhDs, and because of student loans that they can't pay back, or even hospital bills, just regular hospital bills that they couldn't afford to pay, they lost their homes and they're stuck on the streets and have a legitimate education. It's just stuff like that it opens my eyes to more. There's no reason why we should have a system that's that way. Yeah. And you were asking why I got so political lately, and that's kind of all that just encompasses all that stuff. So
yeah, I can see why that one kind of stays with you too, and it doesn't get broadcasted the way it probably should, so more people could be aware.
Yeah. But before you go to your next question, another thing that sticks with me is I watched Dean Schneider. I show you his videos. He's got all those lions, and he was a millionaire or whatever the case is, bought this whole camp out in Africa. Not only him, but other pages like him, like the Dodo. They all do these really good videos and stuff that show people just being compassionate with animals and trying to help the environment and stuff like that. So things like that I'd like to get more involved in locally.
So that's like stuff that you want to get involved in. But I know that you recently were in a few, I think maybe 2 events with Active Valor. And you've probably touched on it, but I don't know how detailed you got with your audience. Because I think that Active Valor definitely offers something that a lot of places don't. And I love that it's particular to service men and women and their children. So I wanted you to touch on that, your experience with them, what you've taken out of it, and if you plan to keep volunteering with them.
So just for the listeners, Active Valor is a nonprofit organization started by Perry Yee and his wife. I'm pretty sure they're the founders. But it's like a mentorship program for kids of active duty members who lost their lives in service, whether it be due to war or at home personal problems, whatever the case is. They no longer have both of their parents, so it's just a mentorship program. So the first event was like a field day at a football field where we did there was a bunch of obstacle courses, and that's where I met my first mentee. And we got along pretty well, but he wasn't able to make the second one. And the second one, I met this little girl. I think she was like 6 or something like that. And it was Halloween, and they set up, I think it was at like the police and fire where they go to train. So they have like all these courses and stuff. And they set up all these zombies, witches, werewolves. We had to go on. It was a scavenger hunt, and we had Nerf guns. And she was terrified at first. And then, because they sorted out into groups and age groups, and my age group was all the little kids, 6 and under, or like 6 to 8, and they were all terrified, so they all quit, and except the little one that I was with. She was all about it. At first she was scared, and then she got really good at loading that gun and popping it off at people. So yeah, I really like that organization because it gets a lot of people together. And I was never really gung-ho when I was in the military about being in the military, but a lot of the people that I meet there are, and they are from all walks of life. Some of them are still in the Marine Corps or the military, whatever, they're still serving. And a lot of them went on to do other things and got bigger communities, so it's really good as far as networking goes. And that's one of my favorite ones that I appreciate because, I mean, I'm not from here, so it's hard to get involved with some other people when you have the kind of job I have, and it's hard to network. So did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You also get to hang out with people that are kind of going through like your transition as well. I mean, I know you've been out the military for a while, but I think when you first got out, you wanted to stay completely away from anything that had to do with the Marine Corps. Like, you were done. You were like, all right, I served my time. I'm kind of done. I want to be a civilian now. But now, like these past couple years, I've noticed that you have been going to events with military men and women, and especially this Active Valor where you're dedicating that time to such a specific group. What do you think has made you change on how you previously felt to now?
You know, when you're in something for so long, it gets old or you get tired of it. You know, it's the same thing over and over again. Almost a hive mind. I've used that term a lot for previously. And it's same people kind of think the same way about the same things. It's you have some individuals, but not many, and it's just a little hard to. It's hard to be an individual when you're in the military, because obviously you're supposed to act as one unit. But too many times I find too many people thinking. I think ever since I got out of the military, my mind has expanded a little more, and I understand things from different perspectives. So easing my way into meeting other people who have been out, because I guess that's mostly as far as the military goes, is people that I hang out with now. They kind of got that same mindset. They got they got to see the other side and have a different mindset and different ideas on how certain things should be